We can actually see you. I'm not quite sure what you meant when you said that to me, Soham. So I'm just going to kind of go with what we're doing. All right. So if you want to change to speaker view, that would be awesome. That will help you to be able to see our wonderful speaker today. Now, I'm going to try to say his name the Italian way. We just practiced it. I know I'm going to mess it up. So let me just introduce to you very quickly, Arthur Carmazzi. He is,
Yeah!
I did it, right? So Arthur is a motivational keynote speaker, founder of Directive Communication Psychology, and a global top 10 leadership guru. He is ranked one of the world's top 10 most influential thought leaders in leadership and organizational culture by global gurus. As a most motivational keynote speaker, best-selling author, and founder of Directive Communication Psychology, his brain clarity research and gamification methodologies have influenced the training and leadership development industry through his unique neuroscience and game-based psychological approaches to leadership and corporate culture transformation. He has innovative tools, games, and assessment, and has a visible return of investment on marketing, conversion, engagement, productivity, and effective behavior modification. So rather than me tell you a whole lot about this colored brain model that he has, that he's used multinationally in 52 countries, I am going to turn it over to Arthur to get us started because I don't want to take up too much time. So over to you, Arthur.
All right. Thank you so much, Freda. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. We're just kind of going to look at the concept of gamification. Now, as most of you are coaches, we're going to kind of frame it in the element of, well, how can you use gamification and gamification ideas in your coaching processes to basically get better results. Not only because, let me just ask you a question, right? Okay, so just type yes if this is true. Okay, do you ever find that, like, when you're talking to somebody and you're coaching somebody and they're like very excited and they're like, wow, yeah, we're gonna do this, and then after they go back after the session, they don't do shit. I mean, they just kind of like, and then you get back to the coaching session. Oh, I got very busy. I mean, does that happen? Just type yes if that's ever happened, because we're going to be talking about stuff on how we can fix that. All right. So let's see. First of all, here, let's go ahead. I'm going to give you some slides. All right. So let's go for some slides here. All right. And there we are. Okay. You can see my face kind of merged into that. Okay. So make sure you are on speaker view. Okay. So that you can actually see this. All right, now this is gamification, and this is based on my Amazon #1 bestseller. No plug there. Okay, Game On: Reinventing Organizational Culture with Gamification. Okay, so let's look at what this is all about. First of all, okay, so this is the APA, American Psychological Association. So one of the key things that basically what makes them engaged, passionate, excited is having a sense of value. All right. Now, all of that is super cool, but let's just kind of look at one thing. Okay. What is gamification? What is gamification? All right. So a lot of people, first of all, you're thinking, well, gamification is playing games, right? I mean, that's what we're all taught, right? And it's not. I mean, think about it. Okay, how many of you are on Facebook? Just type something in there. You on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? Okay, now they got Clubhouse. I mean, you got the whole thing going on now. Okay, next time they're gonna have, like, I don't know, something else. Okay, but if you're on social media, your life is being gamified. Okay, right now. It is, I swear it, okay? Because you're thinking right now when I mentioned Facebook or Instagram, you're thinking, oh, I wonder how many likes I got on that last post, okay? So essentially what they're doing is they're measuring, okay, or helping you to measure a certain sense of validation for your life, okay? So, oh my gosh, I put a picture of a kitten up there. And it's like, wow, I got 50 likes in 20 minutes. Isn't that awesome? Okay. And so what ends up happening is you feel good. You're thinking like, I am so awesome because like I got these things. Oh, and look at all those comments. Oh, like, oh, I got to reply to the comments and all this stuff. Why? Because you are engaged in the measurement of the sense of value that has been placed upon your post. And so whatever you post on there, whether it's real or not, okay, you showing the best part of like how awesome your life is. And of course, that also means that you're in control of your image. You're in control of all of these things. So what ends up happening is, of course, okay, let's read this concept of gamification, right? So gamification is the systematic facilitation of team dynamics to combine measurement, motivational psychology, and, well, basically fun, okay, in an existing or improved work process or activity, okay? And of course, the objective is coming up with specific behaviors and results, which basically means that it's what you're supposed to do when you're coaching, right? I mean, when you're coaching, you want to get people to, well, basically have some kind of behavior change, some kind of result. Is that correct? Okay, just let me know if you think if that is correct. Let me know in the chat. Just type in yes or just put a little Y. Okay, you know, we understand Y means yes. Okay, if that's what you're supposed to do, are you supposed to get people to change their behavior and or change their results? You're here, they're here, and your job as a coach, take them to over here, okay, where they want to go. Okay, so I only got like a couple yeses. What is that? Come on, guys. Yeah, all right, that's better. Thank you very much. Okay, we need some participation. All right, so all of this now basically means that we, okay, are kind of going into, okay, we are going to go into the idea of what all this means and how, well, basically you'll be able to apply it in your actual coaching stuff, right? Okay, so let's look at social validation. So we talked about like Facebook, Instagram, all of this kind of stuff, okay? And now remember that human beings are emotional, okay? And you know, as a coach, are using, okay, maybe that sounds bad, but you are facilitating those emotions to essentially get them to actually do stuff, right? Okay, because if you're just trying to be all practical and logical, well, you know, you're not dealing with human beings because that's not how we work. We're emotional creatures, right? And we are always looking for what would be considered win state. And win state can be all kinds of things depending on what it is, but it's always connected to emotional gratification. Okay, why do your people want to get to wherever it is they want to get? Well, because to them, that means they are essentially they get a sense of being valuable. Now, you probably heard all this stuff about like, hey, recognition is good and all of these things. And it is. Recognition is good. But see, here's the problem. A lot of times people think that recognition is like the thing. That's it, right? If you give people recognition, you give them value. Well, no. I mean, think about it, okay? You are in a relationship and you have a good relationship. That is a personal sense of value that you don't have to be recognized for. You achieve things, and it doesn't have to be big things, but they, you know, it's like you have a consistent sense of achievement for finishing stuff, and nobody has to say you did a good job because you just have that sense. I mean, you remember like when you finish cleaning your desk, it's like, whoa, I'm like, that was awesome, right? I mean, I like, my desk is clean, and you get this current sense of achievement. Nobody has to tell you you're awesome for cleaning your desk. Okay. And of course, even like helping people, you get this sense of gratification from helping people. You get, you have money in the bank, maybe not after COVID, but who knows, right? Okay. And you've got like money in the bank, and then that gives you this kind of sense of security where now you're thinking, wow, I feel secure. I have this sense of value because I have, made the right decisions to maintain my sense of security. So you got all kinds of stuff that is happening that basically gives you a sense of value, right? And this sense of value is basically related to getting your drugs, okay? Now, I mean, like and I'm not talking about like the kind of drugs you get on the street corner here. I'm talking about the kind of drugs that like you get when you are actually doing cool stuff that you feel is making you valuable. And of course, the drugs are things like primarily dopamine, but you also get things like endorphins when you have fun, okay? Do you know that when you laugh, you get these endorphins and like you actually are, more creative? Do you know that innovation is directly related to laughter? Okay, the more you laugh, the more you have fun, the more innovative you actually are. Your brain is set to come up with more abstract concepts and apply them. Okay, so you've got all kinds of really cool stuff. Okay, so what ends up happening is that all of these different drugs basically help you to, motivate, you to essentially do stuff. Now, here's the thing, okay? We have what we call the Gamification Value Perception Index, okay? The GVPI, okay? And if you're wondering where that came from, I made it up, okay? It's in the book. There's this whole thing behind it, but anyway, it's cool, okay? The GVPI, remember that, because now you can start saying, hey, what is the GVPI? Gamification Perception Index. Yeah, baby. Okay, so now let's go into, okay, what it all is. All right, so first of all, you got this whole thing of anticipation. Now, see, anticipation is essentially where dopamine comes from. So have you guys heard that dopamine is like, the happy drug? Just type, yeah, what you think dopamine does. Does it make you happy? What does it do? Or if you think it makes you happy, just type yes in the chat so that I kind of have an understanding of what you think, okay? All right, great. Everybody that typed yes is wrong, okay? So let me explain why. All right, what happens is that it's actually the anticipation of happiness. You think about it, okay? When you're excited about something, okay, you're anticipating that you're gonna get it, all right? So like when, for example, let's say you asked a girl out on a date, and before that, of course, you're like freaking out, but she says yes, and like you're anticipating this date, so you're like, whoa, you're happy essentially out of anticipation. It's not, the date itself, it's not the actual result, it is the anticipation of the result. Okay, you just won the lottery. It's not the money that's making you excited. It is the anticipation of what you're going to do with the money that is making you excited. So dopamine and all of the stuff that we've been talking about so far, the sense of value, everything else goes into the element of anticipation, anticipating what you will get, not actually getting it. Now, that's a very important factor, especially when you're doing coaching, right? Because creating that sense of what happens when you actually go and do something is going to make an impact. All right. So first of all, when you're going to be creating some kind of really cool gamification thing, okay, now that you get the anticipation, then you reinforce competence. Okay, so now as they're moving towards that, okay, they are getting that sense of like, wow, okay, it's actually working. I'm doing it kind of like when I tried to play the violin. All right. I don't know. Has anybody ever tried to play a musical instrument? Okay. I tried to play the violin. And of course, when you first start playing the violin, or at least when I did, I sounded like a scratching cat. Okay. And, but it was hard to keep doing it because it was just so awful. Okay. And then so after a while, I kept doing it and I played my first song. And you know what? The song sucked, but that was irrelevant. Okay. What was relevant is that I actually played the song and it was actually decent. It wasn't great, but it was decent. And because I had that reinforced level of competence, okay, which wasn't that great, but it was enough. It was a reinforced level that I could say, wow, if I keep practicing, maybe I will get better. So reinforcing that level of competence is a major factor, okay? So the other thing, of course, is a sense of validation. Wow, okay, you've got the song, you've got this thing, you get a result that gives you some, well, basically it's a result, the result that you were looking for. It may not be perfect, but it is the result. And of course, the completion, you've actually achieved something, you're actually starting to do stuff that is super cool, okay? And so all of that basically goes into the element of what we call work in progress, or I should say emotional work in progress, okay? So now, emotional work in progress, hang on, let's see, where am I here? Okay. Here we go. Okay, so now one of the things that prevents us from doing this is what we call fear tolerance, all right? Fear tolerance. Now, see, fear tolerance has this element of, if I want to, let's say, for example, I want to do something that is adventurous, okay? But I'm totally freaked out about doing adventurous stuff. And I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, I should be here and I should be like this. And, I don't like taking risks, but I want to take risks, okay? So that means my fear tolerance, okay, I have this emotional drive, right? So this emotional drive is going to be basically an emotional drive for a sense of security. Now, this emotional drive for security usually is going to be connected to to all of these other things that I want to achieve. But here's the thing, okay? Fun is a product of the emotional drive for diversity. So that means, see, if I want to do something that is risky and I have my emotional drive for security is too high, well, I'm not really going to have that. And if fun happens to be not secure, well, I'm not going to, go and do something that is different. So that's why some people, for example, when they go to a restaurant, they always order chicken and rice. Okay, it doesn't matter what's on the menu. They always order chicken and rice because, well, they know what chicken and rice tastes like. Okay, and so you've got people that are going to not really be that adventurous because their fear tolerance is low. Okay, so let me just kind of share with you, okay, the idea of work in progress. Okay, so first of all, fun is directly related to the emotional drive for diversity. Right? That means that anytime that you have fun, it's something different. Okay, does anybody here surf? Okay, just type something if you, or some kind of fun thing that you go and do. Is anybody surfing, or maybe you watch movies? Okay, now if you are a surfer teacher, a surfing teacher, okay, do you think that surfing is still going to be as much fun because you're doing it every single day, okay, without fail, right? So whenever you do something that is what you always do, it kind of loses its level of fun. Now, here's the thing. If you are doing something that is different, okay? How many of you like to go to the shopping mall? Anybody go to the shopping mall? Anybody do shopping mall? Okay? So just type a yes if you do the shopping mall thing. All right? Okay, all right, okay, come on, let's get some yeses. I know you all go shopping mall, okay? But now let me ask you a question. When you go to the shopping mall, do you go by yourself or you go with friends? Okay, so now you add, see, when you're going with your friends, now you're adding a different level of fun. Oh, I get to have some, love and belonging with my friends. You get to have some diversity because you're going to the shopping mall. And then maybe, you go to get some, you finally get those pair of shoes that you always wanted to. You get a sense of achievement. I mean, so all of these different things that you're doing, okay, they all add up to more fun, right? The more emotional drives you stack up with, combined with diversity, you're having fun. So basically, anything that you do that is different is going to be, basically create fun. Now, okay, what happens is that this whole thing with fear tolerance, okay, if your clients that you're coaching just happen to be a little bit, have a higher emotional drive of security than they do for everything else that they want to do, they're not going to do it. Okay. So in this particular case, these graphs, the blue graph, okay, is going to be the emotional drive for diversity. So whatever it is that is going to be having fun and doing different things in a different way. Okay. Now the emotional drive for security is the orange one. So if the orange one is inside the blue one, well, then you're going to do it. If the orange one is outside of the blue one, well, you may not do it because you're basically freaked out about it and you don't want to tell anybody, but you are. Okay. So when you're coaching people, it is important to understand a little bit about what is freaking them out. Okay. And where is their fear tolerance? Okay. And so one of the things that you want to look at is the idea of the enemy. Okay. So the enemy of fun is the enemy of engagement. Now, the enemy of fun in this particular case is anything that your clients feel that is just way too out of their comfort zone. Okay. Now we know that we're supposed to take them out of their comfort zone. We know that they're supposed to be there. We know that they're, that you need to stretch them and everything else. Now the question is, how can you get past that element of fear? How can you increase their fear tolerance? Okay. And that's one of the things that we're going to look at right now. Okay. Is essentially creating more trust. Okay. Creating more trust. All right. Now, trust is a big thing. Okay. So trust basically equals safety. Now, when you're dealing with other human beings, and this is very important because it is most likely, okay, that your clients, okay, are not by themselves. Now, I'm just guessing. Okay. You guys, when you're dealing with your clients, do they go back to like groups of people and deal with other groups of people? Just type yes if that happens. Okay. Do your clients go back to other groups of people? Okay. Because at the end of the day, see, the environment they're in is going to affect what they do or don't do. The environment is going to affect what they do or don't do, whether it's their family, whether it's work, whether it's their business. At the end of the day, they are going to be affected by that environment. Now, if there are certain things that these people are not excited about, okay, or basically maybe communicating with people, getting people to understand them, well, then what ends up happening is that they end up not doing something. And sometimes, for example, even just from a coaching perspective, right? So you're a coach, right? Now, have you ever been in a situation where you're explaining something to somebody and you're being very clear? I mean, really, you're just very clear. And you ask them, do you understand? And they say, yes, I do. And then they go and do something completely different. Okay, has that ever happened? Just type a Y or a yes in there because, okay, I find that happens a lot. Okay, and the reason is because their okay is not the same as your okay. Their red is not the same as your red, and so that basically creates barriers to trust, and not just with you as a coach. Okay, when they're dealing with other people, they're do you ever notice that people complain about something? I mean, it's like you're their psychiatrist, right? They're always complaining about the people over here or over there. I mean, it's, do you find that to be true? Okay, so let's look at what that means. All right. So there is essentially a genetic way that people get clarity. All right. So this is called the brain's genetic ambiguity relief process. Now, I'm going to go through these processes very briefly because I don't want to take up too much time here. But okay. So first, basically the chaotic process, all right, is where people are like, all of the information that they process, they literally is chaotic. It's like, okay, I got this. It's like, okay, let's do it. Come on, I'm ready to go. Come on, are you ready? Okay, what do you think about this? Is this cool? Okay, it's like, whoa, you know, and they're like over here, and they're not really organized, but it's okay because you know what? It works for them. Okay, so this chaotic process is a way that people get clarity. And in order for a chaotic process, ambiguity relief process to get clarity, they need to take action. And that action can be like interacting with other people and asking questions, or that action could just be like, you know, just doing stuff. Okay, so you ever notice, okay, now some of you coaches are like that. Okay, it's like, hey, you know, oh, I got a coaching session in 10 minutes. Who's the client? Okay, I'm ready. Okay, and it doesn't matter. You're okay because you got that chaotic process. You're ready to go no matter what. Okay, but then some of you coaches are like, what, 10 minutes? Okay, no, we have to reschedule. I need to make sure that I study and make sure I've got the entire thing set up and I've got to have all the information on this. No, it has to be rescheduled. Okay, and it's both the same. Both are okay. Okay, but they're different processes, right? Okay, so we're gonna look at, okay, the other one. Okay, so the other one is going to be the relational process. Okay, now relational process is very, very different than the chaotic process. See, the relational process, it's all about connecting things. Okay, like the more information that I've got, the easier it is for me to get clarity. So I want lots of information. So give me some information, give me the details. Okay, I want to see, you know, in fact, if you may have noticed that there are some people in a group, chaotic processors over here, and they're like, let's go. And then you got the other people that like need all the details and they try to kill each other. Okay, I mean, think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where, you know, you're like ready to go and everything else, but somebody says, no, I need to know exactly how much time it's going to take. I need to know, you know, when it's going to be, when are we going to do this part? When are we going to do that? And when is this going to happen? And I need to know how this is going to work. And when are we going to do that? And you're going, oh my God, let's just get on with it, man. Okay. And, you know, and then, you know, but on the other side where you've got like, you know, you are ready to go. You've got all the details. You've got all of this stuff. You're doing all these things. And you're making sure that everything is in order so that, see, that once you have all the details, once a relational process has all of the details, what happens is that they have these options and these options just appear, right? And so you say, option 2 is the best option for you to take. And they've already gone on option 1 and option 2 and option 3, and they're not even trying. And like, oh my gosh, you know, what are you doing? You know, we've already gone through this. Okay. And so sometimes there is some frustration between these different processes. Okay. So, okay, then we got the other one. Okay. Now the other one is intuitive. Wait, no. There's one missing. Wait. Where is that? Is that it? Okay. Wait. Oh, there it is. I knew it was missing. Okay. All right. So there it is. Linear processing. See, linear processing is about structure. Okay. Find the structure. Find how does this fit with this. Okay. And see, you know, sometimes you as a coach, you may be very structured. Okay. And because you're structured, you know exactly how to do this. You do this step, you do this step, you do this step, you're going to get this. Okay? No sweat. Now, what happens though is if your client is not structured, okay? And so then the client comes in and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm coaching an idiot, okay? Because they're not like doing the stuff. I mean, it's like I'm giving them the exact structure and they're not doing it. How is that possible? Okay. And so you end up creating these situations where, of course, you're trying to maintain your composure as a coach, right? But in your head, you're going, oh my God. Okay. And so what ends up happening is that, see, the linear process, okay, because if there isn't structure, they don't feel comfortable. They just don't. And sometimes you've got these like chaotic processing coaches that are not giving the structure, and that of course creates barriers to success. So you got to find out what are the different processes of your going. So when the linear process or red brains basically have the structure, they get clarity. Now, just to give you an idea, see the chaotic process, green brains, okay, they make the most mistakes of any other brain process. Okay, but they recover faster from the mistakes. In fact, sometimes they recover so fast that people don't even realize that they've made a mistake. Okay, and then you've got the purple brains or the relational process. Okay, so these guys, okay, if they make a mistake, you know what? They've already got so much information. They just go, okay, I've got option 2 is what I had chosen. Didn't work out. So let's go back to option 1. Okay, that one seems like the next best one, right? Now, the red brains or the linear process, these guys make the least mistakes of any other brain process. But if they do make a mistake, it's like, oh my gosh, I got to start over from the beginning. Where did I go wrong? Because it's like everything fit. And so obviously something is wrong and it doesn't fit. So we got to start from scratch. So it takes them the longest time to recover from a mistake. Okay, so let's look at the next one, which is intuitive processing. Intuitive processing. Okay, now intuitive processing, basically, it's about they have this kind of sense of what's going on around them. Like, you know, have you ever been in a situation where maybe you're just not feeling well emotionally, but you don't show it because you're cool, right? And you go and you walk into a place and somebody says, hey, are you feeling okay? And you're thinking, how did they know? Okay, and these are usually intuitive process. Okay, intuition, we all know it's like the universe is trying to tell you something, right? Either that or maybe more on the scientific note, it's basically subconscious access to experience that you don't know you have. I mean, for example, let's say that like 3 years ago, you were in the supermarket buying some cantaloupe or something. And some people are talking behind you, but you don't really notice what they're talking about. And, you know, and then like last year you decide, oh, hey, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. It's like, what? Okay. And suddenly, you know, like you've made tons of money because Bitcoin is like gone everywhere. And people go, my gosh, how did you know? And I was, oh, it just felt right. But in reality, 3 years ago, those people that were talking behind you in the cantaloupe section, they were Bitcoin traders and they were talking about stuff and it all got stored in your subconscious. And then it got triggered when you saw some Bitcoin ad or something. And then you decided that you intuitively had picked this up. So blue brains, well, everybody has all this subconscious experience, but the intuitive process basically are just a lot easier to kind of pick up on stuff. And they also pick up on little things that a lot of people don't pick up on. They, you know, so they're very empathetic in general. Now they get clarity through the basically reflection, because again, they're going internal. They've got this whole subconscious thing. And so, you know, sometimes they can be a little bit quiet and they just kind of like, and people are you okay? It's like, yeah, I'm just thinking, it's okay, hello, okay? And so what ends up happening is that, of course, you know, there is also different processes, and because they have a different way of thinking and different process of doing stuff, they also sometimes get misunderstood. Okay, so here's the thing. When you are in the kind of situation where you are not okay, having the same process of doing things, that affects trust. And it affects, it can or decrease the fear tolerance. Okay, which basically means that there are less levels of action to actually do what you want to do as a coach. So especially when, as a coach, you knowing your own brain color or brain process and knowing your client's brain process is going to have a huge impact. But besides that, okay, having your clients understand themselves and how they interact with their environment and other groups that they're in, that's where the gold is, okay? Now, let me just kind of give you another element of how we do things. See, when we're gamifying stuff, okay, we gamify language. Now, I'm going to use this colored brain language here, but you can do this with anything, literally anything that you're working on, right? So, for example, once you have a concept that you understand, okay, you can gamify it rather than communicating. You know how sometimes it's difficult to communicate stuff that creates conflict? So in this particular case, you can just say, oh man, my red brain's working overtime. So, okay, I need to get clear, rather than saying, hey man, just leave me alone, I'm trying to do my shit. Okay, so it has less conflict. Okay, and of course I was like, oh, don't mind me, man. Okay, I'm just doing my green brain thing, rather than, why are you jumping around and not focusing on stuff, man? Okay, so you're just kind of using this language to just improve your ability to kind of understand each other and work together. Now, the biggest benefit here, okay, is because, like, okay, and this is a plug, I'll be honest, it's a plug, okay, but this is, okay, coloredbrain.com. Now, one of the things that you've got with coloredbrain.com is that anybody that goes in there, they can see all of their friends, all of the people in their environment, and they can see who's in their danger zone. They can see, and they can click on these little things that says additional insights that helps them to understand how to be more productive with somebody, how to have a better relationship with somebody, how to lead people better, because it basically connects the entire team. Okay, and you can get this at, wait. Okay, coloredbrain.com. There's a little thing on there. Take a screenshot, whatever you need to do. Okay, and so why is that important? Okay, because you don't play with yourself. Okay, that kind of came out wrong. But I mean, when you're gamifying stuff, okay, you're not playing alone. Okay, you are playing with other people. You have to connect with, communicate with, you have to basically have fun with other people. And so no matter how you do it, taking into consideration the people in your client's environment and connecting them is going to help you. Okay, in coaching, you call it the ecosystem. Okay, find your people, help your people to understand their ecosystem and coach in accordance with that. Okay, so now when you've got basically a higher fear tolerance, okay, that basically increases your ability to take action. So when you have more clarity, it is easier for your clients to take more action. And so when you're helping people to understand not only themselves, but who they're working with, how they're working together and all of that stuff, that is going to affect the ecosystem. It's going to affect clarity, and it's going to basically affect the results for action that they're taking. And that's the goal, get them to take action. Now, how do we do this afterwards? Well, basically measurement. Now, anytime, so once you've done something, once you've done a coaching program, you're in there, you've done the coaching thing, you're doing that, I mean, you've got measurement. Now, right now, everything is measured. I mean, think about it. You've got different levels. Okay, it's like, I'm a PhD, or, I am a manager, okay, or I am, or you've got like different quality, like, 98% pure, or you've got all kinds of things that are connected to measurement. And all of this stuff is, the measurement is something that you see every day, right? Okay, it's not something that's new. It's not something, I mean, you're always being measured, and people use measurement to essentially show some kind of value. Okay, do you agree with that? So just type something in there. Okay, do you agree that people use measurement in order to essentially assess a value? Okay, so if you do, okay, that means that measuring your clients, okay, is going to have a profound effect on a couple of things. Number one, okay, one of the key things that you're doing is creating some kind of tangibility. All right, so tangibility is important, right? Because that gives you a very specific end result. All right, now, when you're consistently measuring them and showing some progress, that means that they're getting that sense of anticipation. Oh, I'm progressing. I am making progress. Okay, and that progress is going to show people that they are, well, essentially on the right track. Okay, so one of the key things we want to work with is basically time. The secret of gamified measurement is time. Okay, speed. How can you get people to be to understand where they're at and what they're doing in a very quick way? Okay, now it depends on if you're doing corporate or not corporate. I just kind of included this in a thing. Now, if you're doing just the individual, great. Okay. And then the rest of this may not matter, but at least the team part will matter. And let me explain why. Okay. So if you're doing the individual, of course, you measure the individual. How am I doing as an individual? But now remember that these people mostly are, or maybe are going to have some kind of team. Maybe it's their business. Maybe it's their family. I mean, it depends on what you're doing, but taking into consideration the achievement or the level of measurement of progress of the entire team, now that's going to really also connect them to not just themselves, but the ultimate result of the people that they are with. And of course, if they work in an organization, measuring it or including it in the organization itself. Now, there's a tool that we use that basically gamifies behaviors. Now, why is gamifying behaviors important? Okay, let me explain. Okay, most people gamify KPIs. Okay, oh, you've achieved the result. Okay, now, when you're doing a coaching thing, how long does it actually take you to get a result? I mean, you know, it's like, oh, this is my objective and these are my goals. It's like, oh, okay, it's going to take you 6 months to do, you know, of coaching to do that. Well, that's really cool and all, but we live in the post-Facebook era. Okay, people want to get instant messages and they want to get instant gratification on their Instagram and they want to get instant everything. Okay, people don't want to wait 6 months to see how they're doing because then they just think that it's, you know, it's too long. Okay, so what they want is to see that they're making progress. And there's no way that you can do that because the goal is all the way over here. So here's what you do. Reverse engineer the goal into behaviors. Reverse engineer the goal into behaviors and then gamify the behaviors. Now, if they're in a team, this is a very useful thing to use, okay? If they're by themselves, then basically it can be used just with you and them themselves. You can find it at squadly.com. There's a whole bunch of videos there. I'm not really going to go into it, but it gives you the whole strategies on how to gamify behaviors, okay? And so the next thing, and this is very important, resurrection, okay? Any gamified process that you do requires people to be resurrected. Now, think about it, okay? You know, any of these actual games that you have, I mean, once you die in these games, you get to start over. So create an opportunity for the people that you are coaching to start over because, you know, sometimes they don't do it they don't get to that point, it's like, hey, no sweat. You didn't make it to this point, or they didn't make it to this point. Creating an opportunity for resurrection, starting over, blank slate, okay? And then making sure that they measure their progress with the progress they made last week. Did you increase the progress? Did you improve on what you did last week? Did you do this? So creating that sense of measurement is going to show them that progress. And that progress is going to create the anticipation, which is going to get them more excited, because the closer they get to the actual goal, the more excited they get. Okay? And so resurrection, important thing to do. Okay? And then, of course, the gamification process, very kind of like in a brief summary. Okay? You get goals, you set the goals. Okay, you identify the motivator, the behaviors, then the motivators for those goals, create a theme. Now, this is super important. Okay, I know that a lot of people think, wow, as a coach, I'm supposed to be very serious. Okay, nobody said that serious is required for results. Okay, it's not. You don't have to be serious to get a result. And you don't have to be serious to be credible. I mean, I've made my entire career by being an idiot, okay? Not a complete idiot, just enough of an idiot for people to have some fun in the process of achieving some serious results, okay? But that's the thing, right? You just, chill. And you can actually get people to lower their guard, be a little bit more fun, and in that process, create a theme. Okay, so let's say, for example, you find out that they have hobbies of superheroes. Okay, so they like Marvel or DC or whatever, and so now you create a theme related to superheroes to create that level of measurement. So okay, right now you're a sidekick because you haven't achieved this level. Okay, but as soon as you achieve this level here, you will be a hero, but not a superhero, because that means you gotta go all the way up here, right? Okay, just have some freaking fun with it, because it's gamification, man. Okay, so themes is important. Okay, so the other thing we want to do, of course, is create the game structure, and that's up to you. I mean, creating game structure can be completely, it should be completely relative to your client. Okay, and of course, identify partners. Now, what we mean by partners in this case is people around them. Okay, like I said, their ecosystem, their environment, people around them, that's like super, super important. Don't coach the individual for the people, or together somehow with the people that he's going to go back with. And guess what? Okay, get the other people involved that may even get you new business. Okay, because you are literally going out there and getting these people involved in the success of that individual. And say, a lot of these people may say, oh, I want to be successful too. And then they go and hire you because and then you can even do group coaching and say, hey, tell you what, take all 5 of you, and I'll give you if all 5 of you sign up, I'll give you a discount. And you can do group coaching because you're basically dealing with the same environment, right? And that means you get a better result and more money. More money is also good, right? Okay, so of course, measure everything. I mean, that's really the thing. Just measure everything, okay? Measure everything. And okay, again, do this as a bottom-up type thing. Don't do, it's like if you're measuring the if you're coaching the CEO, make sure that the CEO actually helps his people to come up with ideas that are going to help him or her do what they need to do. Okay. So anyway, these are some of the factors that we found. Okay, just to give you an idea. Okay. A lot of organizations, a lot of teams, a lot of people, they say, oh, the reason that I can't do it is because my team is no good, my environment's no good, the place I work sucks, whatever, all of these things, right? They're going to come up with all kinds of excuses. And interestingly enough, they're all the same types of excuses. But what happens if you ask people for the ideal working environment, is that they're all going to come up with something very similar. Okay. Now we've asked this question in 57 different countries, and basically it's the same. What's the ideal work environment? Teamwork. Okay, trust. And trust can be something like related to, oh, I just, wish I had autonomy to do things my way. Okay, or do it in a way where it's, or I wish people would be accountable and I could trust them. Okay, clarity. I need to know the structure. I need to know where I'm going. I need to have a clear vision. I need to have clear instructions. Okay, a supportive environment. Oh, my boss doesn't let me, or I can't actually go to the finance department because they don't talk to us, or whatever. And of course, finally, you got fun. Okay, and fun is very important. Okay, and what ends up happening is that if you help people to create that ideal working environment, okay? And I don't mean that somebody else has to do something. You can actually help your clients to create these ideal working environments, right? By using some of the same principles and ideas that we've talked about here today, okay? And then the bonus is that a lot of their other problems disappear, okay? So pretty much that's what I got for you today. So, of course, don't forget to buy the book, okay, on Amazon, okay, because it's like super cool and you need to get it, okay. And of course, if you need to go ahead and contact me, they've got like there is this whole page that CTA it's got a whole bunch of links on there about me and everything else. And if anybody is interested in a work gamification game, you can also go ahead and the work gamification games helps companies or groups to create a gamified work process. Okay, and of course, you can go ahead, if anybody's interested in that, you can go ahead and just connect with me, okay, or whatever, okay. And if you guys want to be one of the 5 leaders to have like a personal coaching call with me, you can go ahead and connect with CTA, and they're going to set you up, okay, because that's what it's all about. Okay. And they've got, I think they've on their page, they probably have my email address if you want to contact me, or contact them so that they can contact me or whatever, because like we're all cool, right? Okay. And so any questions meanwhile, okay, go ahead. Hey, they put the link there. How cool is that? Okay. So, so meanwhile, I'm ready to have some questions. Shoot away. Okay. Don't everybody type a question.
Have any questions? Be sure we can unmute you, or you can put your question in the chat or whatever. But I know that you probably have some things that you want to ask. So the chat is open, and we can also unmute you if you just go to participants and raise your hand. We will be happy to unmute you.
Oh, thank you so much, Donna. Appreciate that.
Any questions? Going once, going twice, you get 15 times. So I just won't count them all. I will also tell you that while you're thinking of your questions, take a moment to go to Arthur's website, look at some of those videos. If you think he's energetic sitting down, go to that website. He actually jumps off the stage. So I definitely want you to take a moment and go and check that out. So Placid, you had a question. We can unmute you. Please go right ahead.
Oh, one thing I would suggest, okay, there's a couple of TEDx talks, but there's one TEDx talk about colored brain and trust. So if you just type in Carmazzi and then colored brain, TED, it'll come out. Highly recommend that one.
Awesome. Okay, so did we lose Placid?
I am here. Hopefully you can hear me.
There you are. Welcome. What is your question for Arthur? Go right ahead.
Yes, perfect. And Arthur, nice to meet you. Grazie, un piacere. Quick question. You used the word accountability at some point. How do you create a culture of accountability?
Okay, well, here's first of all, remember, accountability is not a single behavior. Okay, so accountability is a result. Okay, so when you're gamifying accountability, okay, first of all, you have to gamify the other behaviors that go with it. So what are some of the behaviors that you think go with accountability?
You're asking me now.
I am. I'm asking you.
I guess people doing what they say they will do. So
Okay,
say what you do,
so
do what you say. There would be something along those lines.
all right.
Definitely.
So basically, so the element of communicating and something that is going to be so communicating something that you will complete. All right.
Taking ownership of your
completing-
actions.
Sorry.
Taking ownership of your actions.
Taking ownership of your actions. Okay. Completing things. Okay. So basically having something that is completed. Okay, so these things. Now, what about cooperation? Is that going to be important in accountability?
Definitely.
It would. So sometimes people think, no, I just got to do it myself. So we're not alone in any organization. We're never alone. Okay, so that level of cooperation is going to support a culture of accountability. Okay, creating an environment, okay, where you have to, where you communicate authentically. Okay, so that's another element. So don't say stuff that you're not going to do, okay, just to please people, because sometimes the element of accountability is not because people aren't accountable, it's because they don't want to say no. And then what ends up happening is they don't do it because they didn't say no and nobody knew that they couldn't do it or that they were afraid. And so you end up having these problems. So that element of accountability needs to deal with authentic communication as well, so that people understand that they are able to say no or say, sorry, I actually have no freaking clue what you're talking about.
So bottom lining then, I guess what I'm taking away is accountability is too broad.
It is. I mean, it sounds like a simple thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so be more specific with what we mean. What are those and what are those behaviors? That's probably what I'm taking away, and deciding what really matters for you as an organization.
Absolutely. And remember that the behaviors, it's a lot easier to measure the behaviors. Okay. So for example, like with Squadly, there's just two things, right? You give either an award or an emoji, and it can be a positive or a negative emoji. And then based on what you choose, it gives you points. And then of course you connect that to a specific behavior. And so different people will basically rank differently in different behaviors. So that means, it's not like the same people always winning, right? So you give opportunity to get people to do stuff and win. And then of course the resurrection element helps you to start over every week or every month or whatever. But anytime you do any kind of gamification, we really recommend that you give people a chance, like quickly, to go ahead and start over, because once it gets too far, the leaders get really far ahead, and then people just kind of give up. It's like, I'll never catch up. Okay, so anytime you do any kind of measurement, make sure that you have that element of resurrection so that it can start over. And accountability, that's also very applicable.
Awesome. So I hope that your question was answered, Placid. We have a couple of other questions here in the chat, so we're going to kind of move forward with those. So could you please explain or identify emotional drive connection to gamification?
Wow. Okay, I mean, I could
heavy
do
one,
like
huh?
12 webinars on that, and I still wouldn't give you enough. Okay. Get the book, man. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Any behavior that you do ultimately is motivated by something, okay? But it's not always motivated by the same thing for different people. All right. So let's say, for example, now you again, like one of the things that I said, that there's people often simplify a sense of value to filling the emotional need for recognition. Okay, and it is much more than that. So creating or supporting people to have environments where they get that value from multiple elements. Okay, and sometimes they don't see it. I mean, sometimes, you know, as a coach, what you really need to do is help people to have more confidence in themselves. Okay, and simply by helping them to identify the different parts of their environment where they're already feeling some of these motivators, right? Like, you know, a sense of connection. You have friends, okay? I mean, not like Facebook friends, like real ones. You know, you have so when you talk to your friends, okay, so, you know, how do you feel about that? What do you, you know, do you how who are the people that respect you? So you're kind of creating this personal sense of value simply by asking them questions. Okay, and so the more that you understand a person's emotional drives or primary motivators, the easier it is for them to understand how much value that they're actually getting. Okay, I mean, and I mean, okay, here for another example, there's a tool that is called the EDMA. Okay, you can find it at emotionaldrive.net. Emotionaldrive.net. Now, this uses the concept of emotional drives to determine what is called perception gaps. Okay, so let's say that you're a leader, right? And as a leader, I need to be very supportive. Okay, people have told you that they need, you know, if you're a good leader, you're very supportive. Okay, make sense? Right. Okay, now you're being very supportive. Unfortunately, your entire team thinks you're a total control freak because your way of being supportive is not what they think supportive is. So there is a perception gap between what you think you're doing and what they think you're doing. But you know what? You're the boss. They don't tell you. So you don't know. And because you don't know, you keep doing it because you think you're being supportive. And you're screwing it up without knowing that you're screwing it up because you have the right intention, but the wrong strategy. And if you, by understanding the emotional drives, you understand what one of the things we call need sucking, okay? Where you accidentally suck the emotional gratification from something. Like, for example, hey, let me help you do that for you, okay? Let me do it for you. Let me do it for you. And you, without even realizing it, you think you're helping, but you're sucking the personal motivation of achievement from somebody. I don't know if that kind of answered the question. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but I mean, there's but that kind of gives you at least a little bit of an idea.
Awesome. Awesome. So one of the, we have a couple more questions. They may actually be in the book. You may have to say, get the book. So one of them, and so because we're going to go for exactly 2 more minutes, and then we're going to shut this. 2 more minutes.
How cool is that?
2 more minutes. Okay, 4. So how can you, thanks a lot. Your energy made my day. My question is, how can we improve our fear tolerance?
Wow. Okay. So here's the thing, good news and bad news. All right. So some studies by this guy named Cloninger, he basically said that risk adversity is partially genetic. All right. Mm-hmm. Now, the good news, that's the bad news. So if you're like freaked out about everything, well, okay, you could have some of that. All right. Now, the other potential bad news, okay, is that optimism is based on an enzyme called P300, and the production of that enzyme is genetic. So if you're like, oh my gosh, you know, this COVID thing will probably last for another 10 years anyway, so what's the point? Okay. You probably don't have too much P300 and you're screwed. Okay. But here's the good side. Emotional drives can change. Okay. Emotional drives can change. So if you have a high emotional drive for security, you literally are able to kind of ease into some of the other emotional drives that are important to you. Now, remember, not everybody is going to have that. Not everybody wants to be adventurous, but they might want to have more friends. Okay, but they're freaked out about like connecting with other people, for example, or maybe they do want to be more adventurous, or maybe they want to achieve more and actually, stand out more, but but their parents told them don't show off. And so because of that, they feel, oh, if I stand out, I'm going to be showing off, and that's wrong. And they've got this kind of internal conflict inside of them, creating this fear. Okay, and so what ends up happening is that if you find out what is important to them, what are the primary motivators that are important to them, ease them into those little by little by taking small steps and measure those steps. I mean, that's the key thing. Remember, measure those steps, show them the progress. Okay, this is kind of get them here and then get them here and get them here. Okay, there's this video on YouTube, okay, that I did. It's called the drug dealer whale approach. Okay, to improving performance. Drug dealer whale approach to improving performance. It's in the Knights of Transformation series. Okay, so look that up. Carmazzi drug dealer whale approach to improving. So that also talks about emotional drives and how you can kind of get people to do little bits and pieces in order to achieve more stuff. Okay, was that 4 minutes?
It was, but now the last question.
But wait, there's more.
Is there an online test we could use to understand our fear tolerance and that we could use with our clients as well?
Okay, no. See, okay, so there's a tool that we have well, it's not okay, let's see if I have any around here. As a matter of fact, I do. Okay, so this is the we do this. Okay, so here we go. Can you see that?
No. It's just the white square.
Of course not.
So I guess that's your test.
Wait. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, how about that? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Color brain
right.
communication cards. Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so here's what these are. Now this is actually this is what you got. Okay, you got a whole bunch of pictures. Well, okay, you got like all kinds of pictures. Now what happens is that, see, with this card here, what ends up happening is that you basically ask people to essentially choose 5 cards that best describe X. Okay, now let's just take, for example, what you're going to do. If I asked you to choose 5 cards that best describe what you would do with $10 million, okay? And you can do whatever you want with it, but you have to choose 5 cards, not more than 5 cards and not less, okay? I would be able to tell exactly what your primary motivators are, what your emotional drives are. I would be able to tell what kind of conflict you have in your life. I would be able to tell what's going on in your relationships. I would be able to tell you what are the things that are going to make you excited and frustrate you the most. And I would be able to essentially tell you what are the barriers to you achieving your goals. And I can do that because what you've done in that is essentially identified your primary emotional drives, and the process of how you choose it is also going to give me your colored brain. And with that, the colored brain and the primary motivators, I understand a complete picture of who you are, and I can predict if I put you in a team, I can predict whether you would succeed or fail. If I put you in a relationship, I could determine if you succeed or fail. We have, for example, just in Iran, okay, so one of the things, okay, we have right now, we have over 560 licensed trainers and coaches that are licensed in DC psychology or directive communication psychology. And one of them is in Iran. And so in Iran, you're not really allowed to date, okay? So marriage can go a little bit wonky in some cases because you just kind of like, well, this person seems like they're good enough to get married to, so let's give it a go. Okay, and so this guy has made his a very good name for himself by using simply just these cards and doing these little interviews with people and helping them to understand compatibility and stuff related to their relationships. So the relationship element, and again, it can be used for teams, it can be used for all kinds of things. Okay, so that is one of the things that because it requires, it's not really an online tool because that element of fear tolerance requires a kind of an overall understanding of what's going on and how it connects with everything else.
All right. Awesome answer. This has been absolutely an amazing time. I know that everyone has absolutely enjoyed it. You have a lot of links in the chat to be able to follow Arthur. And I just recommend checking out his webpage, his website, amongst other things. As well. So we are going to close now, but it looks like you're typing something. Are you typing something in the chat before I go in the thing while you're writing?
I am typing my email address just in case. Okay. Somebody wants to do that. There it is. Okay.
All
so
right.
This is for those people that have stayed to the end because only the special people get my email address.
See how fortunate we are, and those that are on the recording, but we won't add that part. But all right. Thank you so much. And thank you all, everyone that stayed with us throughout the entire time. We look forward to seeing you next week. Next week, our speaker will be Dr. Marsha Reynolds. Most of you have heard of her already. She wrote the book, Coach the Person, Not the Problem, an international best-selling book. And so we look forward to her sharing with us next week as well. So we will see you all next week. Thank you so much for joining us and good evening. Thank you,
Bye,
Arthur.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.